So we had a full slate of games on Sunday. Let's go coast to coast, brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. Starting in Philly on Friday, Joel Embiid left the game with a nasal fracture. The team says he'll be reevaluated in a week. When it rains, it pours. Brian, is this just another fluke injury for Joel?
And I got to say, I've never seen a team have this kind of luck, especially with these facial injuries. You don't usually see a guy have 2 facial injuries in his career. This is the 3rd time he's broken a bone in his face in the last 6 years. Plus, he had that episode where he dealt with Bell's palsy last year during the playoffs. I can't believe his misfortune.
It is tough. On the other side, though, speaking of availability, Mikal Bridges just played his 500th consecutive NBA game, by far the longest active streak. Cat also had a 2020 night. Brunson dropped 31 in a win over the Magic. DDJ, are they creeping into contender status in the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, I mean, what they have decided to do is lean into the fact they have 2 of the best scorers in the league and one of the best duos. 20 and 20 for Towns, Brunson with 30 points. They're going to be hard to beat, but salute to the Magic for sticking in without their 2 best players and making it competitive.
From east to west, heading to Phoenix next, KD returned this weekend, and that meant the Suns are back in the win column. They are now 13-2 when KD plays this season. Mark, you talked to him this weekend. What did he say?
Yeah, I talked to him after the Jazz game. He said he feels all of his 36 years on this earth. He said he felt like ish lately, but what he's doing now, he's spending more time in the training room, more time icing, more time stretching. Knows he's an OG now.
Only in the pros will being 36 make you feel like you're an old person. It's not fair. Over to San Antonio, Victor Wembanyama had 20 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 7 blocks. His 8th career game with 20, 10, 5, and 5. Already the most by any active player. The Spurs lost, though. So, Brian, is 500 a realistic goal for San Antonio?
Why are we talking about the Wolves? The Wolves won this game, and they won 5 out of 7. Am I wrong? Did the Wolves not win this game?
They won the game, and they are rolling.
Okay, thank you.
Period. Finally, we're heading to Los Angeles. LeBron James returned to the court after missing the last 2 games, giving him a full 8 days off in between games. Lakers hosting the Grizzlies. Bron back, and immediately you see his impact.
Yeah, if you give him a lane, he's still going to dunk on your head. Don't give him that lane.
And don't give him a lane on the other side. Chase down block.
Spry. He's spry.
Very spry, very fresh. And what I love is that he does it on both ends, right? Dunks, blocks, assists.
AD's having an early MVP year. Great season.
AD, 22 points, 10 rebounds in the first half. Now the fourth quarter. Come on, guys. He shoots better every year that progresses, in its year 22. Hello.
Yeah, they've been playing much better lately. This was not the Grizzlies' best performance.
It was not. AD had 40 points, 16 rebounds. LeBron, 18, 8, and 8. Lakers win it 116-110. Here's LeBron on his recent time off. You deserve the rest, fam.
No man problems there.
Had an opportunity to take more days and get my mind, body, and everything just, where I wanted it to be for tonight, and it worked out. If it was just up to me, I probably would have played in that Portland game, and I'm not sure if I'd have played in the Minnesota game, but it'd have been hard to keep me, away from it. So I have a team, and I got to listen to them as well. They look out for my best interest.
DDJ, what was the difference in a rested LeBron James last night?
Well, you saw right there. You saw a vintage LeBron dunk and then a chase down block. There's no better example of the importance of rest for this dude. And what we also saw here is that the post-game comments where LeBron were important here. He wants to play 82 games. It is up to the Lakers to figure out how to convince him not to do that, because this is the best LeBron we've seen in a while. That grind all through the early of the season was wearing on him, and they need an actual game plan for the rest of the season to maximize him, and that does not include him playing every single game for the rest of the season.
I know there was some intrigue about what was going on here because the Lakers listed him as out for personal reasons, but he did this exact same thing last year at the All-Star break. He took the back end of the All-Star break. Then he took a game off afterwards to get treatment and rest for that foot, which has been bothering him for the last couple of years. And then he looked great. He had 30 points in 3 of his next 4 games. So I am not surprised that he needed a little bit of time off, and I am not surprised after the time off that he looked great.
You know what? I'm going to credit Dr. Leroy Sims and Pelinka. I think they had this all scheduled out. And, the NBA is always looking at, what's your injury? You can't question personal reasons, right? Smart. So I think they had this all planned out. And the Lakers had 5 games from December 1 to the 8th, from December 9th to the 15th, too. they knew this was coming. They knew the NBA Cup was going to get them some rest. So very, very brilliant and smart thinking by the Lakers.
But Wendy, are we asking too much of LeBron James in year 22?
I mean, if you think that he is going to be winning the MVP award and carrying a team by himself to the finals as he did throughout last decade, yes, you're asking too much. But you got a guy who's averaging 28 and 9. He can still be a very significant contributor, and he is.
Is there any desperation for the Los Angeles Lakers to get some help?
I definitely think that they are in the market, but I will just point out that the Lakers have not made a significant trade in 22 months. So desperate, I would say actions say that is not the case.
Yeah, I feel like they understand the limitations of their roster. We're seeing other teams like the Golden State Warriors make a move to up their upside, but at the end of the day, I mean, they're going to have Anthony Davis go for 40, LeBron James mess around and almost have a triple-double, again, 18, 8, and 8, and have perimeter shooting on top of that defense for them to win. That's a tall task.
And I think it's smart, like the Warriors channeled a team that's struggling, that's getting rid of pieces. Maybe the Lakers need to do that. Try to get somebody a little cheaper that could help you from the Nets. They still got a lot of good players available. Wizards, Pelicans. Look at the teams that are trying to sell.
In the bonus, the Thunder, they continue to lead the league in defensive efficiency, and in Saturday's win, they lowered their opponent's scoring average to 103.5 points per game, moving them past the Magic for the best in the league this season. And it's not just that. SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, is the fourth different player to put up averages of 30 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal and a block in the first 25 games of the season since steals and blocks became official in 73-74, joining Giannis, Embiid, and MJ. And on Saturday, the Thunder also got a career-high 21 points from, you heard it, Isaiah Hartenstein, including 10 in the fourth quarter. He was the fourth on a defensive end as well, holding Şengün to 5 of 13 shooting as a primary defender and forcing 4 turnovers when matched up against him. So, Mark, what would an NBA Cup title mean for Oklahoma City?
Huge, especially for Shai. I talked to him a couple weeks ago, and he was saying that he felt guilty when they lost in the second round. He felt like he could have been a better leader, taught these guys what it is like to deal with the playoffs and be mentally ready for it. But now this isn't the playoffs, but it's similar. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of money on the line. So if they could win this, if he could lead them to this, I think that the experience that they'll get from winning this without Chet will certainly go a long way once the postseason comes.
You just said something. There's a lot of guys on this Thunder roster who haven't gotten their money yet. Shai has his money. That's $500,000, a lot of money. By the way, Shai is having a killer cup so far. He was totally outplayed Luka in the quarterfinals, had a huge second half and leading them over the Rockets in the semis. He has another big game in the championship, gets that cup, gets that MVP. Watch how it affects his MVP status, because I think he's starting a narrative to make himself a serious candidate.
Yeah, we look at this Thunder team, they have everything on paper, and the biggest knock and the biggest reason why people do not believe in them is experience. And SGA is making up for that with these high-intensity games. He went out there and outplayed Luka and Kyrie combined. He was the difference against the Rockets team. And if you go out there and you outplay Giannis, who is one of the best, top 2 players in the league right now, who has a Finals MVP, who has a championship, this stuff can propel you in the playoffs. We saw that with Indiana. We saw that with Halliburton. SGA and this Rockets team putting up a dominant performance with him leading them and maybe putting his name in the MVP race can pay off dividends for them come playoff time.
There was a point in the game where neither team, the Rockets or the Thunder, let's be real, y'all, could buy a bucket. But then you still had SGA, and no matter what, through the highs and the lows, he was cool, calm, and collected, and he always delivers. Now time for a new segment, because we love the specs. Mark Spears, his glasses selection is just impeccable. It's time for Spears Specs. So, Mark, what do you have your specs on in the NBA Cup?
First shout out to Denver Glass House. I got my eyes on Chris Middleton. This guy's been an all-star several times over. He's averaged over 20 points per game over 4 different seasons. But he's struggling now after coming back from these ankle surgeries. In his return, he's averaging 7 points per game, only 25% from the field. Missed practice today with a non-COVID illness. If he could be back to who he was, the Bucks are a championship team. But right now, they're trying to work through the rust, work through the injury, get his confidence back. And he still loves the game. He's fighting through it.
X factor for tomorrow night. AJ Green. Okay?
Okay.
He is shooting almost 49% on three-pointers this year. He's been one of the league's best clutch three-point shooters. He's been a godsend to the Bucks, who need production from that spot. He's not going to determine the game. I understand that. That's probably going to be Giannis, probably going to be Dame. But if the game gets close, watch out for AJ.
DDJ, who is your X factor?
I'm going to go with the obvious pick. It's Giannis. Giannis has been on a tear. He's been the best guy. Him and Jokic, 1A, 1B in the league. And if Giannis can dominate as he has been doing, this could be the most impressive win for the Bucks this season, taking home the cup. And it can really change the trajectory of the way they've been, especially how they started the season.
Giannis already has an MVP. He could get another. He also has a championship. I'm going with SGA. This is a moment for OKC
also,
to put up
don't forget about
a banner.
His mentor as a kid, I just learned about.
We'll be in Vegas tomorrow. See you there.